Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right. Shalom. First and foremost, actually, Salaki, let me just start off with this here. This is 2 Ezra 9:1, right? It says, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou shalt see if part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he had made. I want to start off by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rechah HaKadosh, double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, that have taught me his word in truth and sincerity. All right, peace and mercy to the elect, starting with the 144,000 that's also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. And the rest of the elected sincerely believe, peace and mercy to you and your household. All right, and your fellow servant of Moth of JMS Toronto. Coming at you once again with another live lesson. It's going to be another edition of Doomsday Prophecies. All right, connecting world events to Bible prophecy to strengthen the faith of the elect. Okay, and as you can see, the title here of this edition is Strap In. Right, strap in. The next stage is persecution. Okay, strap in. The next stage is persecution. All right, now let me get this phrase. I mean, we know what this phrase means, but I just want to read it. It says here, prepare oneself. It means that phrase to strap in, right? Prepare oneself for an upcoming event or experience, okay? To prepare oneself for upcoming experience. The phrase strap in is an idiomatic expression that means to prepare oneself for an upcoming experience, often one that might be intense or challenging, okay? And the persecution that's coming, all right, for you, Jakes, all right, and really, first and foremost, all right, us, starting the apostles, bishops, and others on down, that's on the front lines doing this work, pushing this truth, and then as well as you believers, okay? It's going to be very intense, and it's going to be very challenging, extremely challenging, all right? There's not going to be a time like what Yahweh Shema Shai is getting ready to bring on this planet Earth, right? That's ever been done before. That will be compared to any other time before. Okay, because this is going to be the last events and well, yeah, the last event before the kingdom of heaven is established on earth. So it's going to be extremely intense, full of straits, and very challenging. Okay, but this is why we have a grace period, as I always say, to strengthen our relationship with the Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay, because the only way we're going to get through what's coming down the pipe and the experiences the Lord is going to put us through is if we have a relationship with Him. If you don't have a relationship with the Heavenly Father through His Son, these experiences, all right, this intense, challenging time, right, times of straits are going to overtake you. You're either going to die or you're going to take a chip and then die, ultimately. And with that being said, let me get this precept. This is Revelation 3:10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, okay, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, okay, and the persecution, famine of the word, right, is synonymous with one another, the pestilence, the plagues, famine, right, which will be manufactured, all that, all right, culminates into what? The hour of temptation, because the whole world is going to be going through all these different experiences, difficult experiences, and it's going to cause them, all right, to take the chip. Okay, it's especially a lot of Israelites. The majority of Israelites are going to take the chip. All right, and we're going to find that a lot of Israelites that claim to believe in Yahweh Shema Shai are also going to take the chip. They're going to betray one another. This is why it's very important for us to develop a relationship with Yahweh Shema Shai while we still have time. Because once the prophets are are taking off the highways and the hedges, as well as the internet, that's it. There is no repentance. There's no time for repentance. It's just judgment. Okay. And if you're of the elect, and however much I'm of that number, the Lord's going to have mercy on you in that time. He's going to be with his elect, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Okay. So it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take that crown. Okay, which is your salvation. And I gotta say this: there's a lot of men and women that have this truth, and you're still asleep. Okay, so you better wake. We better wake the fuck up. Okay, excuse my French, but I gotta say it like that because it's very serious. All right, to have this truth and to still be asleep. And what I mean by asleep is you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not on fire. Okay, and if you're not doing what you're supposed to do and you're not on fire, that means you're not thinking about the next stages of this ministry, what's coming down the pipe. Okay, because time is speedily running out. All right, the bill C9 here in Canada has already been passed, and as the date for it to be enacted has already passed as well. We're already moving from different spots, but very soon, as I'm going to get into it, um, this is going to be throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, all the Lord's going to put that famine out there. Okay, let me get that actually. Amos 8 and 11. Okay, and then I got this clip here I'm going to bring out. And there's some articles too. Amos 8 and 11. It reads in NLT, "The time is surely coming, says the sovereign Lord Yahweh, when I will send a famine on the land, not a famine of bread or water, but of hearing the words of the Lord." Okay? People will stagger from sea to sea and wander from border to border, searching for the word of the Lord Yahweh, but they will not find it. And why? You got to think, why are people going to be searching for the word of the Lord when it's not there? Instead of searching for it, all right, when it was there, when it was readily available. It's because of all the hell and calamities, all right, and positions of difficulties that they're going to find themselves in. All right. And all these calamities and positions of difficulties are going to be the prophecies that the prophets were prophesying for decades, starting with the apostles and bishops on down. Okay. And then you're going to find all these different Israelites scrambling, looking for the word of the Lord. And it's going to be too late. Okay. It says, verse 13, beautiful girls and strong young men will grow faint in that day, thirsting for the Lord's word. All right. So it's going to get serious, man. It's going to be very, very, very serious. Very deadly. Let me see if I can find this precept. I'm going to bring out this clip. Not like a time ever before. After 24 and 21. Let me see. King James here. Jeez. Okay. Well, I'll read NLT or NIV. See how that goes. But it says here, for then there will be, Matthew 24 and 21, for then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. Okay? You got to meditate on that and really try to ponder how serious, all right, these coming times will be. You know what? I'm already here in this. Let me get this in the King James. We got Matthew 24 and 21. Matthew 24 and 21. It says, for then shall be, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning. And what happened in the beginning? The Lord flooded the whole earth, right? The Lord flooded the whole earth in the time of Genesis. So you got to think about what he's saying here. He's saying that the time that we're coming into, the climax of it, all the different plagues, calamities, polycrises, right, that the Lord is getting ready to bring on this earth and the people is it's not even going to the flood won't even be able to equal to this time. And the flood was the whole earth, right? And this time the Lord's not going to destroy the whole earth, but he's going to destroy certain parts of it, i.e., Babylon the Great, which we know is America. The land of Israel will be touched as well, but it will be built back up. Okay, so that immense amount of devastation and destruction is going to be consolidated in throughout the whole earth, but primarily into one place, which is America. Okay, serious. So it says, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor no, nor ever shall be." Okay, and except those days shall be shortened, there shall be no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So the Lord's speeding up the times. And LT says, "For there will be greater anguish, all right, than at any time since the world began." That includes the flood. And it will never be so great again, because what's going to happen is through this, we're going to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Yahweh runs over of the elect. So strap in, man. Strap in, lock in your relationship with Yahweh Bashim Shai, and continually strive to be better, to do better, right? So you can have a deeper relationship with the Heavenly Father. Because if you can't overcome doubt, then doubt is going to overcome you. Okay? If you can't overcome doubt, it's going to overcome you. Yes, you're tired. Yes, you're upset. Yes, you're annoyed. Yes, you're catching hell. But this is the Lord does this to set the stage so that we can get into a deeper relationship with him. We can tap in even deeper than we did prior to. All right. It's just you have to do the work. You have to have the faith and exercise it. Because these devils, man, they're gonna come down hard, crazy. But the scriptures say, having great wrath, knowing that he have a short time. Great wrath. Okay. And you sisters, you sincere sisters out there, you have to be ready to die for the truth too. That might be your lot too. You might have to be beheaded too. Okay, so it's no joke. All right. Just like the woman and her 7 sons. All 7 of them were tortured and killed. All right. But the Lord put a spirit on them to mock. All right, their oppressors, all right, which were the Greeks at the time, okay, under the rule of Antiochus, while they're being tortured. So the Lord can do that. And who's to say they felt it? All right, they might have not felt anything. But nevertheless, the Lord stepped in divinely, okay, even with the woman. All right, he stirred her heart and her mind to have faith and to actually encourage her sons to go through that gruesome torturing. Okay, and then she ended up dying too. But these are not things to. These are not. I'm not saying these things to sow doubt. I'm telling you because it's the truth, and you have to understand the severity of what you're involved in. Okay, and develop that relationship with Yahweh Shemel Shai. Let's go ahead and listen to this. This is from Kim Iverson. All right, they're calling Mamdani a terrorist. Why? Okay, so fair use, fair use, fair use. I'm not receiving any monetization or any money for this video. I'm only sharing this video for educational purposes only. All right, fair use, fair use, fair use.
Many people are calling New York City Mayor Mamdani a terrorist. Really? So we're getting to this point. If they're willing to call the New York City mayor a terrorist for essentially not supporting Israel, not being gung-ho as a Zionist, then going to label the rest of us, I think, is a big question. I think this should be a warning sign to everybody that this isn't just a targeting of one person who, by the way, when he talks, sounds pretty reasonable about Israel, about Palestine. This is a warning for everybody. If they're willing to go after this guy, they're going to go after all of us. Here's Nancy Mace. She writes, "At what point does being a terrorist sympathizer classify you as a terrorist also?" So this is a representative in the U.S. Congress saying that being a terrorist sympathizer, which what is a terrorist to her? So sympathizing with Palestinians then makes you a terrorist also. This is where they're headed in their thinking, in their ideology. And this is extremely dangerous. The more Zionists we get into Congress, the more Israel takes over our elections and rigs our elections and pays for elections and brainwashes these congressional people. We're going to end up with laws and groups inside of covert groups that are going to be spying on and investigating American citizens who just happen to not support Israel, and they're going to be classified as terrorists. Here's this is actually a German. She tweeted this out. She's one of the editors of Bild magazine, which is one of the biggest German kind of tabloids out there. So Germany's even in on this. Germany's in on this. New York is in the hands of an Islamist extremist, she writes. Now, why would the Germans be involved in this one? And this kind of goes back to, they're trying to get a world war going. Germans right now are, for whatever reason, really hot for a war against Russia. Again, 3 times the charm, maybe in their mind. They're really itching for this war, but they can't get the United States to go along with it. But they are working this kind of interesting angle where if they could get the United States supporting Ukraine more, if they can get Republicans to support Ukraine, then they could maybe get a war with Russia, the war that they long for. But they're not going to be able to do it alone. They know they need to rope in the United States into the war with them. And so they've got Ukraine bombing Iran. And the Germans now could say, well, see, we've got to support Ukraine against Iran, which would make the Americans then say, okay, then I guess we have to support Ukraine. I mean, it's just this really insane kind of mental experiment that they're running on us.
Yeah, which, that is true, right? I'm going to get a document, but this is also beyond them. This is way beyond them. This is prophecy. This is Yahweh Bashim Shah is doing, all right? The Heavenly Father, who the world even calls God. I'm going to get this here in, is that Jeremiah 25? Okay. Let's go down, was it 15? Jeremiah 25 and 15, right? And it says, so the Lord is storing up war, okay? It says the cup of the Lord's anger. It says in NLT, Jeremiah 25 and 15, this is what the Lord Yahweh, the power of Israel, said to me, take from my hand this cup filled to the brim with my anger, and make all the nations to whom I send you to drink from it. Okay? It says, verse 16, when they drink from it, they will stagger, praised by the warfare I will send against them. And this is why you've seen all these different nations are get involved in this war that was originally between small hats, right, and America and Iran or Iran. Okay, now you got Russia, China, Ukraine, bomb Iran, right? The Germans are getting involved. So this is the Lord stirring up World War III, World War III, right? But that's the final stage. So if all this is being stirred up right before our faces like this, you can imagine how close we are to the hour of temptation that I just read about, and also the persecutions, right? Because that's all tied together. Famine of the word, persecution, and our temptation is all tied together. Okay. It says, I'm gonna skip down I'll read verse 17. It says, so I took the cup of the anger from the Lord Yahweh and made all the nations drink from it, every nation to which the Lord sent me. All right, let's skip down. Right. It says I gave the cup to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, his attendants, his officials, and all his people. Okay. And there's world war and there's civil war. Okay. It says, verse 20, along with all the foreigners living in that land, I also gave it to all the kings of the land of Uz, right? To the Edomites and the kings of the Philistine cities of Ashkelon, Gaza, Ekron, and what remains of Ashdod, right? These are ancient names of these areas now being called differently, right? But these are all the nations, okay? It says even 21, I gave the cup to the nations of Edom, Moab, and Ammon, okay? All the nations, man. Yeah, this is verse 27. NLT says, then the Lord Yahweh said to me, Now tell them this is what the Lord Yahweh of heaven's armies, the power of Israel says, drink from this cup of my anger, get drunk and vomit. All right, that's gonna be a lot of death. Okay, and Trump is preparing a ground invasion in Iran. Okay, so prophecy is moving just as the Lord said it would. Okay, it's a beautiful thing. It says, fall to rise, all right, get drunk and vomit, fall to rise no more. Okay, for I am sending terrible wars against you. And if you refuse, and if they refuse, and if they refuse to accept the cup, tell them the Lord Yahweh of heaven's army says you have no choice but to drink from it. Okay, so everything's going according to plan. Let's continue here.
And I mean, which would make the Americans then say, okay, then I guess we have to support Ukraine. I mean, it's just this really insane kind of mental experiment that they're running on us, and and they're also trying to get us to turn against all the Americans who are pro-Palestine or anti-Israel. So it'll make it to where you are, you know, they'll start with a guy named Memdani. They'll start with a guy who's a Muslim, and oh no, the Muslim is not American born, and he's mayor of New York, and oh no, the Islamists are here. So they start with that in order to make you afraid, but it doesn't end with him. It ends with anybody who's Muslim. It ends with American-born, multi-generation Americans who happen to be Muslim, in order to just kind of foment this hatred, this anger, this fear, in order to get Americans to turn on each other. Here's Mike Huckabee.
Yep, that's true. All right, and I just read that one precept. Let's get this here in Isaiah, okay, 19. Isaiah 19 and 2. All right. It says, I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. All right. Let's go from here and let's get second Esdras. Yeah, just like Apostle Dahar said, man, starting with the apostles and bishops on down, we didn't broke down everything in the scriptures, everything. So, now you see us going over the same precepts, right? Analyzing and revising, not revising, reviewing, Slake, analyzing and reviewing, all right, all the prophecies because they're here, all right? They've been here and now they're just intensifying more and more and more, okay? And basically, I take that as a sign. What he said, I took it as a spiritual sign is, we're almost done. We are almost done, prophesying. So we're about to enter that next stage, which is, like I said, persecution, right? As well as salvation for the elect. So this is Second Ezra's, and then, tied with that persecution, the great hour of temptation, right? So Second Ezra's 15 and 14. Woe to the world and to them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands, right? For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the city, and this is martial law, lockdowns, okay? For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Okay, and this is where you're gonna have a lot of the betraying, right, of so-called believers of Yahweh Shem Shai. They're gonna betray one another. Okay, don't think it not strange when the fire trials shall come upon you, as if something strange has happened. Okay, remember there was Judas was a part of Yahweh Shai's camp. Okay, says a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, right? Which is manufactured, right? It's a manufactured famine. The Elder Yashwamba, brings this point out, and he's right. It's true. How can you get a famine on Earth, right? We're on Earth, so yeah, that's how you know it's manufactured because of and it's really not a famine, but the famine is more so a lack of access to food because everything's being hoarded up and privatized. Okay, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay. Well, let me read verse 20. Behold, saith Yahweh, Bashem Shah, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Libanus, to turn themselves one against another, and to repay the things that they have done to them. You see, this war, this world war, is also happening because of the controversy of Zion, what these heathen nations, starting with Esau, Edom, have done to the people of the Most High, the true people of the Most High. Okay, the true people of the Most High, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and you speckled birds out there. Okay, so let's get you on here.
Also talking about Mamdani as some kind of extremist.
Chuck Schumer, very nice people, but
sorry about that.
Chuck Schumer is a senator from New York. He's the most prominent Schumer.
Here's Mike Huckabee also talking about Mamdani as some kind of an extremist.
Chuck Schumer, very nice people, but
sorry about that.
Chuck Schumer is a senator from New York. He's the most prominent Jewish elected official in America. He wrote a book last year, Mr. Ambassador, called Anti-Semitism in America. He has not condemned Mamdani's comments. What does that tell you?
He's a coward. He is a coward for not calling this out. And if he doesn't, then I hope that nobody ever calls him a Jewish leader again. I'm not even Jewish, and I think I'm probably a much more effective Jewish leader than somebody who will not say what Mamdani is, and that is an anti-Semite. You just can't go any other way with this.
Chuck Schumer is a senator from New York.
Sorry about that.
He's the most prominent Jewish.
We don't need to watch it again. So Mike Huckabee is calling him an anti-Semite. Here's also Sid Rosenberg saying pretty crazy words against Mamdani. I think pretty forceful words against him. Here he's on Fox News.
Well, very nice people, but trying to talk to Mayor Mamdani is like trying to talk to the IRGC. Okay, this guy is a terrorist. That's the bottom line. I'll say it. You don't want to say it. I'll say it. He's a terrorist. He's a jihadist. He hates the Jewish people. He hates America. He hates the Italian people. He hates the Irish people. He hates the German people. Unless you're Muslim, Mayor Mamdani has no use for you. He is a horrible person and maybe has perpetrated the worst American and Jewish hate in the history of this country. Those two people stand the other day on that west side of New York City. That blood is on his hands. That blood is on your hands, Mayor Mamdani. We got to find a way to get this guy out of here. Maybe Dr. Emily Wolf is right. Maybe that election wasn't what it looked like on paper. Maybe he really didn't win. But either way, this guy is the worst thing to happen to New York politics, maybe in the history of our state. He's a lowlife.
I mean, I think you may be a bit over your skis and labeling him a terrorist, and you're probably going to flag.
Let me ask you this.
Because
The guys,
All of these guys are set up and paid, to basically cause that division. Okay.
elected this guy. They knew everything about him before. Like, this is predictable. You talk about predictability. This is a predictable.
Let me ask you this. The Hamas guys that are in Qatar right now, they've never put on an explosive vest. They've never shot anybody. Would you consider those guys terrorists? Because I would. Okay, so his ideologies are in line with the terrorists. Mahmoud Khalil is a campus terrorist. You have to kill somebody to be a terrorist. You have to share the ideology. That's what this guy is. He's no better than the person who actually goes and shoots somebody because he respects that person. He likes that person. That makes him one of them.
Oh, there was a moment where I actually had hope for Republicans. You know, there was a glimpse of normalcy there for a minute, and that just went to shit real quick. I mean, what has happened? Now it's, oh, well, if we label you a terrorist and if you just agree with the terrorist, then you're a terrorist. Well, there was a time when Catholics, not long ago during the Biden administration, where pro-life Catholics were being investigated for potentially being terrorists. J6ers were terrorists. People who were against mandates for COVID were terrorists. Now, if you sympathize with Palestine, you're a terrorist. I mean, this is the problem with the word terrorism. The problem with it and labeling people terrorists is that you could just, any ideology could be just terrorism. But the real reason.
Exactly. Any ideology can be, terrorism. Okay. So it's a blanketed statement to cover every and anybody that's basically not down with the New World Order. It's that simple. And even if you are down with it, they still want to kill billions of people. So it doesn't matter. Whoever's left is how they see it. Now, Apostle Gabar always brings this out, right? He does always. He has brought this out quite a bit too. The letter of Albert Pike's letter to Giuseppe Mazzini, okay, about the Third World War, okay. So this is a plan that they've, have been contriving and plotting, all right, for really centuries. You could say 3 centuries, maybe, 2-3 centuries. Now, before I bring that document out, I want to get this here. Psalms 64. Yeah. Okay, Psalm 64. Ooh, yeah, that's good. Okay, let me just start out one. Damn, the whole thing is really good. Psalm 64 and 1, it says, to the chief musician, a psalm of David, hear my voice, O Yahweh, in my prayer. Preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. Okay, hide me from the secret counsels of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Okay, who wet their tongue, right, via their words, obviously, like terrorism. And they're going to be calling us all kinds of things because this is just a beginning stage. It's going to go in, all right, on the men of the Lord and you believers out there, okay? You sincere believers out there, okay? And then this is also going through, he does this through his media, okay? It says, who wet their tongues like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, man, okay? So it's going to be a very challenging time. But you have, if you're strapped in and locked in, okay, uh, um, in your relationship with Yahweh Shema Shai, the Most High is going to be with you and put that spirit on you. Or Yahweh Shema Shai is going to be with you to put the spirit on you to continue through. Okay, because this was already told of us that it would happen. Okay, so it says, verse 4, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. You see, they're really out there. They don't know who the elect are. So this is going to come after every Israelite, all right? Starting with those who are out there in the highways and byways prophesying. Okay, and this is why I think it was Elder Eshwamba who I heard this from first. He brought out, and I could be mistaken, but he brought out how under C13, all right? C1, no, sorry. The 501c3 act or charter for IUIC, they're labeled under as Muslims, right, or as Islam. They're labeled under as Islam, okay. And you've had IUIC, uh, uh, you know, break bread with um, um, Muslims, okay. So the narrative has already been built, and now Esau's just running that narrative through, right, through the media, right, and you're gonna see how this has always been planned out. Right, you have ISUPK with their all black and wristbands, spiked up wristbands, right? Training up and down hills at parks where Edomites are, So it's all the illusion, or rather the perception, is already laid out. Okay, it says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect suddenly to do suddenly, right? Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. So you could be anywhere and everywhere. You could be anywhere and this thing pops off. The persecution pops off. You could be at work, all of a sudden you see police, all right, arrive at your job to walk you out in handcuffs. You could be asleep in the middle of the night, all right? So it's going to be a sudden thing. This is why you have to be locked in. Okay, it's going to be a sudden thing, so you have to be strapped in, locked in. Verse 5, it says, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately. Okay, and we're witnessing it. They say, who will see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search of both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. All right. It says, but Yahweh, Bashim Yahshua, shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So the Lord is going to intervene. Okay. They're not going to be able to get away with their overall plan of the New World Order. All right. And destroying, all right, damn near 90% to 95% of the population. Okay. Now back to this document here, right? This letter from Albert Pike to Giuseppe Mazzini. All right, it says here, The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused, okay, listen carefully, caused by the agent tour of the Illuminati, right? Or other words, agent provocateur or a provocateur, all right? The agent tour of the Illuminati, matter of fact, make sure I'm on point. Let me look up that word, agent tour. Oh, okay, so it's German. The word Agentur is German for agencies. Okay, yeah. And let's see meaning. The term agentur translates to agency in English. It refers to a bureau that provides intermediary services or represents the interests of its clients, right? Being the top wicked elite, the bankers. Okay, as he says, the agent tour of the Illuminati. So all these different three-letter agencies, they're all behind it. Okay, the agent tour of the Illuminati between the political Zionists, okay, and the leaders of the Islamic world. We're in that right now. Okay, the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, Arabic world, or Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided in this issue, will be constrained to fight, all right, to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. All right, and you're seeing that, especially with all these Gulf states and Israel, okay, and of course America. We shall unleash, and this is going to happen globally, worldwide. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effects of absolute atheism, origins of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Okay? Then everywhere, the citizens obligated to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, okay, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization. Okay, the world minority of revolutionaries, really stressed with the prophets, okay, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will form or will from that moment be without compass or direction. Yeah, because none of it was true. It was a lie. The true Christians are the followers of Yahweh Shai. Okay, anxious for an idea, but without knowing where to render its adoration. Okay, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer. Okay, and you're going to receive that light in the form, which is so-called light, is really darkness. The knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, in the form of the chip, RFID chip, brought finally out in the public view. Okay, so the main point here was the top, right? To formulate the differences, right, between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. Okay, must be constructed in such a way that the Muslim Arabic world and the political Zionist state of Israel mutually destroy each other. And we're in the midst of that. So, what did I want to get from here? Let me continue this clip and then maybe it'll come back to me.
And why they're mad at Mamdani is because he wants to arrest Netanyahu. He thinks that Israel's committed war crimes, and he thinks that Netanyahu, whose arrest is being called for by the ICC, should actually be arrested. He believes in international law. This is what Mamdani says. This is what actually makes him a terrorist, apparently.
Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal, the architect of a horrific genocide against the Palestinian people. He is responsible for the killing of more than 73,000 people, for the maiming of tens of thousands of children, as those who survive undergo amputation without anesthesia, for the targeting of neonatal hospitals and maternity care centers, denying newborns even the chance to live, for the countless people he starved as he blocked food and humanitarian aid from reaching them, for the gunning down of hundreds of aid workers and journalists. And just last month, the UN confirmed that Palestinian children continue to be deliberately targeted and killed by Israeli armed forces, more than 8 months after the so-called ceasefire. The list goes on and on, all as we, as Americans, pay for the bombs that do the killing. There is a reason the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for his arrest. As human beings, we have spent generations building a shared understanding that there are crimes so grave they offend all of humanity. Anyone, with their eyes, with their heart, with their conscience, should recognize the devastation he has wrought and understand that he belongs before a court of law. As I've said, I agree with the ICC that Benjamin Netanyahu should be arrested and tried for his crimes, as I do for anyone else charged by the ICC. My administration has reviewed every avenue available under applicable law to determine whether New York City could execute the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant if Benjamin Netanyahu came here. It is clear that we do not have the independent legal authority to enforce this warrant. The federal government, however, does, and I call on them to join the ICC and execute this warrant. And I want to be equally clear. Benjamin Netanyahu is not welcome in New York City, nor is any other war criminal at large. While we cannot end the genocide on our own, we can decide whether our silence will become another weapon, and we can examine every tool we have to defend the humanity and dignity of all people. That is my commitment to you.
Yeah, so this guy is being used, obviously, right, to bring about, all right, this agenda of the top elite to persecute really ultimately us, right? He'll start far, and then eventually this will close in on the prophets, because who's really doing this? The Most High, right? Yahweh Bashim Bashai is doing this. What was I gonna get? I was gonna get something here. Oh yeah, so this guy is saying all that, right? And this is from the People's Voice. You have this article here. It says, let me just click on it. Wait for this pop up the past. Right? What does it say? It says, Mamdani demands America pay millions in direct cash reparations to New York's Black residents. Why? See? So if you know, you know. Okay? If you know, you know. This guy, they're tying us in, right? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which are the Israelites, are being tied in. Okay, they start with the blacks and they go in to Native Americans and so-called Native Americans and Latinos. It says New York City socialist mayor Zoran Mamdani is raising the scepter of direct cash reparations for slavery, claiming that black, which is going to be labeled as what? He's already being labeled as anti, you know what? So alongside with all the other retarded jakes that are going to jump on board with this, they're going to be labeled the same thing. Okay. Claiming that black New Yorkers deserve billions in direct cash payments to atone for alleged crimes against the distant ancestors over 200 years ago. Okay. So you can read that for yourself. I'm not really going to get into that, but the title says enough. Okay. And then there's this here. All right. This is Benjamin Nada, you know what? Orders Christian Zionists to fight against Americans who oppose sending troops to die for Israel. Okay, so let's go ahead and play the video. Okay, where are you? It's getting hot, man. It's getting hot. That's why I got to strap in and buckle up, man. And like I always say, all right, develop that relationship with Yahweh Shema Shah.
Descendants from the original Hebrews of the Holy Land.
You hear that? He's saying that
The first part of that Judeo-Christian heritage.
What do you say? We are the original descendants, right, of the Holy Land. Okay, so let's listen to it. Right? Oh, jeez. All of a sudden now you want to. Now it wants to be buffering. Okay. Come on now. Bear with me here. All of a sudden, man. All the effing sudden. Maybe I can watch it on X. Let me see. Okay, let's see. Oh, I'm not doing all this. Okay, let's see if I refresh it. Slack it. Bear with me here. All right, so it even says here, this guy, Julian Assange, Netanyahu, claims to be descendants of Moses.
Descendants from the original Hebrews, the Holy Land. We are the first part of that Judeo-Christian heritage, which we cherish, and which has given the world the civilization of freedom and faith. And again, we have to stand up and defend it. It's under attack from the rising tide of anti-Semitism and anti-evangelicalism. You do. And it's not accidental that the two are coming under George attack, because we are one. And what I ask you is only one thing. You stand up. You stand up, be calm, don't cower. And when you're faced with an attack, what do? Attack back. That's all. That's my long speech. And I'm very grateful to you for your consistent support, for the constancy of your friendship. And now it's time to fight, fight, fight. That's it.
You are fighting right now. We are fighting right now against the dark side, the leftist, godless dark side. But by the grace of God, we're going to win this battle.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is it. We're in that time, man. We're in that time where the persecution is sudden. It's going to be sudden, and you just got to be ready. All right, you got to be ready in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. Was there more on this? Let me get a preset. I think there is more on that video, but let me get a preset. Slack to bear with me here. Oh, this preset comes to my mind. Psalm 94. Okay. I'm just moving in the spirit, so Lord willing, I pray this is edifying to the elect. Psalms 94. Okay. And 20. All right. It says here, what does 19 say again? Okay. Anyways, it says, verse 20, Psalm 94 and 20, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? Right? They frame mischief by a law. They gather themselves together against the souls of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. But the Lord, Yahweh, is my defense. Yahweh Bashim El Shai is my defense, and my power is the rock of my refuge. And he shall bring upon them their own. He said, shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, the Lord, all right, Yahweh Bashim El Shai, of our power, the Lord Yahweh, our power, shall cut them off. Okay? Get another one. Oh yeah, you gotta bring this out. Amos 5 and 10. Right? They hated him that rebuked us in the gate. This Amos 5 and 10, it says they hate him that rebuketh in the gate, right? And they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. All right. It says, for as much therefore as your treading is upon the poor, and yet take from ye take from him burdens of wheat, ye have built houses of hewn stone, but ye shall not dwell in them. ye have planted pleasant vineyards, but ye shall not drink of the wine, of the wine of them. Okay, the Lord's going to be with his elect. He said that these people are going to starve and we're going to eat. Yahweh Ratzah, I'm of that number, man. Yahweh Ratzah. Once again, Amos 5 and 10, they hate him that rebuketh in the gate and abhor him that speaketh uprightly. All right. And then let's see. We get two more, and then that'll be it. This is Isaiah 41. Like, what more is there to say? Okay, the more we already been saying. Isaiah 41 and 1. Keep silence before me. Oh, no. Here. Verse 10. See what verse 8 says. Yep. It says, I'm reading this in NLT. I haven't read this in NLT before. It says, oh, not that I remember. Isaiah 41 and 8. But as for you, Israel, my servant, talking about the elect of the nation of Israel, Jacob, my chosen one, descended from Abraham, my friend. I have called you back from the ends of the earth, saying via this truth, via this knowledge, right? And through the prophets, saying, you are my servant, for I have chosen you, and you will not, and will not throw you away. Okay. And here is the point. Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your power. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand. And we know who that is. That's Yahweh Shai. Okay. It says, see all your angry enemies lie there, confused and humiliated. Anyone who opposes you will die and come to nothing, man. Shai. So we're going to see some things. The elect are going to see a lot of divine intervention that are going to continually encourage us, right, until Yahweh Shai comes. Right? If the lot isn't for us to be martyrs, or the lot is for you to be a martyr for this truth, you're gonna die. The Lord will be with you mentally and physically through that lot, and you're gonna be one of the first, all right, believers to be resurrected. Okay, when Yahushua comes. All right, so yeah, man, it's yeah, we're here, man. It's gonna happen soon. You can feel it. Let me get this here. Luke 21 and 11. Let me start at 12 NLT. All right, so Luke 21:11 or Luke 21 and 12 in NLT says, before all this occurs, there will be a time of great persecution. You will be dragged into synagogues and prisons, and you will stand trial before kings and governors because you are my followers. But this will be your opportunity to tell them about me. All right, since it says, so don't worry in advance about how to answer the charges against you. Yeah, because they're gonna slap us with all kind of different charges, man. This is why you can't be walking around here. We have to be walking around here blameless, right? Meaning what? Perfect in what Yahweh Shema requires of us, right? We're not getting caught up in anything and everything out there in this world that has nothing to do with our purpose in this world. Okay. All right. We need to, as these days approach, we need to be more sober-minded and more spiritually focused on what the Lord is about to bring us through. Because guess who's doing it? Yahweh Shem Shai. He's going to test all of us. Okay. It says, so don't worry in advance about how to answer the charges against you, right? For I will give you the right words and such wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to reply or refute you. Okay. Even those closest to you, your parents, brothers, relatives, and friends will betray you. They will even kill some of you. You see that? So you got to really think about, the things they're going to say about us. It's going to cause even your family members and the Judases in the camps. All right. Well, the Judases in the camps, they're going to turn on you because they don't have faith and never really believed in this truth. Okay. And, most likely they're paid in bath for. as well, paid off. But then you also have your family members, right? Those who are the closest to you. You got to imagine what these people are going to say about us, all right? That's going to cause not only for your family members and the ones closest to you to turn on you, but to also be a part of putting you to death. Serious, man. That's why the only thing that matters is your relationship with Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. That's the only thing that matters. Okay? It's your relationship with Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. Verse 17, it says in NLT, and everyone will hate you because you are my followers, right? But not a hair of your head will perish. By standing firm, you will win your souls. All right? Let no man take your crown, especially Esau Edom. So with that, I'm going to close. Low runs straightforward and edifying to the elect of the nation of Israel. I'm going to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rachaha Kadash, the honors the apostles, bishops, and elders of great most shall rule well. All right, and I've taught this word of truth and sincerity. Peace and mercy to the elect, starting with 144,000, and the rest of you that sincerely believe. All right, strap in and continue to develop that relationship with Yahweh Bahashem Shai. All right, shalom.